Hello, family. Welcome back to the channel. It's your boy E, the Dividend Passport Bro, back with another video. Guys, today is another beautiful Sunday where we do our Edwin Talk video. And I have a lot of things to talk about, but you know what? It's just like, where do I start? You know, I'd like to say thanks to all of our new subscribers, guys. Thanks for subscribing to the channel. Thanks for liking and sharing the content. Remember, guys, feel free to ask any questions. I make video on this channel every day. I have multiple channels. I do have my Retire and Roam channel, which I try to do video on once a week. Sometimes I go overboard and do them once every other day, but most of the time it's once a week on that other channel. So check out my other channel. I'm going to put that in the description below. I also have my the Life of Edwin 4 channel, which is mostly me doing handiwork stuff. A few little bit of traveling here and there, but mostly my handiwork stuff. Eventually, that channel going to be switched over to something else once I start doing mostly my investment stuff back in the U.S. in the upcoming years. Okay. So with that said, I say this is not financial advice. Okay, I'm a 52-year-old man. I make video about my portfolio and my portfolio alone. Also, pretty much whatever I'm doing in my life um, as it comes to me and my family on a daily basis. Okay. Now, if you watched the video yesterday, you will see that we already generated $8,236.65 in distributions, right? That's from this past week. Okay. Now that totaling, right? Um, the total amount to $15,454.17. Okay. Now I get this all the time. People be like, "Man, is it possible to live off dividend? Right? Is it possible to live off dividend?" I get this all the time, right? Whether we be having regular conversations, it's like, anyway, how can you live off this stuff? Where is money going to come from to live off this stuff? And that's why I tell you guys all the time, pay attention to your portfolio. Not because you want to sell or buy every time the market go up or down, but when you pay more attention to your portfolio and you become more immune to the ups and downs of your portfolio, then when the market go up and down, it doesn't really affect you. But if you don't check your portfolio all the time, and you check your portfolio, you see your portfolio down $30,000, $40,000, most people freak out, and when people start to sell. But if you understand the market go up and down, right, and you have a goal that you're trying to accomplish, then you don't have nothing to worry about. Okay, you just try to pay attention to your portfolio. If you're investing in something, if you feel like it's not going the right way, then you sell out of it. Okay, and that's it. You sell out of it, put the money into something else that can generate the kind of money you need to sustain your life. Okay, now when you are working, you have to buy clothes, new shoes. You have to put gas in your car to go to the office. Now, when you work remote, I don't have to worry about putting gas in my car. Now, I don't own any more gas cars. Well, I do own. Let's take that back. I do own three gas cars. Okay, left no four. Sorry, four gas cars. I do own. I forgot to add my daughter car in there. I do own four gas cars. Okay, three gas cars, one Tesla, and three gas cars that I still own. Okay, but I don't really put gas in them. You know what I'm saying? People who drive them put gas in them. The other car is a classic. It doesn't move. It just sits in the yard. I drive it once or twice a year, and that's it. Okay, but when you come to putting gas into your automobile, right? It is very expensive. If you have to leave your house to go to work, if you drive into work, most people drive 30, 40 miles one way. Some people are lucky they only drive 5, 10 miles to the job. But most people drive 30 minutes to an hour per day when you add traffic, right? And that's gas. So can you imagine if you drive into work, you have to put gas in the car, maybe $200 a week, depending on the kind of car you drive. Not $200 a week. I mean, I'll say maybe 80. $80 a week, $80 a week, depending on the kind of car you drive, right? You might be spending a couple of $100 plus a month, right? Just for gas, okay? And then you have car payments, you got all this other stuff. But for me, I work remote, so I work from home, so I don't have to get dressed to go to work, right? If I have a meeting and I just put on a t-shirt, okay? It can be a black t-shirt, a collar shirt, depending on the kind of meeting I'm having and who I'm talking to. If it's going to be a video conference call, I just put on something that shows, I have a collar shirt. Sometimes, mostly just t-shirt, a plain t-shirt, black or white t-shirt. Okay. So, but I'm saying all this to say is, one, you just have to manage your own money, right? Because when you go to work, you're giving your time for money. That's what you're doing. But when you're managing your own money, it's your own money. So it's your time. So you can decide, if you're going to put in 8 hours a day, think of way to improve your money, that's too much. Okay. I spend maybe 30 minutes, maybe an hour a day, sometimes looking at my portfolio. But most of the time is 30 minutes a day looking at my portfolio because I have multiple portfolios, right? I got my daughter's portfolio, I got my health, my retirement portfolio, my health savings account, I got my car portfolio, and I got my catch-all portfolio, I got my growth portfolio. My big boy portfolio is my catch-all portfolio. That portfolio right now takes care of everything, my daily living, all that stuff. It takes care of all that. Okay? But the bottom line is, can you live off dividend? Yes. So if you have a job, right, that pays you 100 something thousand dollars a year, okay, after taxes, if you pay into your 401k and all the other stuff, insurance, um, you might be bringing home somewhere about 3,000 something uh, every month. I mean, 3,000 something every 2 weeks if you get paid twice a month, right? Um, if you're participating in those, and I'm talking about somebody making like $150,000, right? 130, 140,000, 150 grand. Yeah, but after taxes, you might be making this money here, what I make in 1 week, for somebody who is making 130 to $150,000, depend on the deductions that's coming out of your check, and the contributions you make into your retirement plan. Okay, but say if I wasn't working, I still have a regular job that I work remote. I just said that. But say I wasn't working, do you think I could live off of $8,000 a month? That's more than what I would make in a regular job if I was making 130 to $150,000 a month, right? A year, sorry, $150,000 a year. Minus the taxes, right? Of course, the taxes will be deducted. But this right here, the taxes haven't come out yet. Okay, so let's say I'm paying 20, 30%, 32% taxes out of this amount of money, but this is just for 1 week. Okay, this is just for 1 week. Now, if you see the total previous last 3 weeks, so we're generating almost like $5,000 a week on average if you look at the last 3 weeks. Okay, so even $5,000 a week, right? If I have to pay taxes, I'm still coming out with $10,000 or more um, per month after taxes. Okay, and a lot of this for now is being reinvested into the portfolio. So, like I said, if you living off dividend or retired and living off distributions, right? Now, this portfolio, of course, is a lot of riskier portfolio. I invest in a lot of risky stuff, so of course the distributions and return is higher. But there's a big chance it can go to zero and you can lose all your money. But the return is higher. So, but you can invest in stuff that pay 5, 10%, right? And you just have to increase, you know, your contributions to where you feel comfortable on pulling funds out. And the reason I chose dividend investing because of not wanting to sell stuff, right? To hold for the long term. That's the reason I chose dividend investing. Um, but like I say, investing into the extreme high yield, mid yield, high yield, and then the lower yield positions, it's easier to say, you know what, this is not bringing me no money. Okay, I'm going to sell and get it out and keep it moving. Or this is bringing me money, but it's also losing a lot of money, which is called NAV erosion. So I'm going to put my money somewhere else. But can you live off of $35,000, $40,000 a month? Of course, guys. I was able to purchase my property that I'm in right now, cash, because of distributions and pulling out 65K from my Roth to purchase the property cash. Okay, so I was able to do that within a 4 months period because of the agreement. I had 3 months period because of the agreement I made with the owner that hey, I was going to pay the property in 3 months, with 25% of the payment upfront, and then pay the balance in terms. So by the time we got to closing, I would have very minimum amount to pay. And I had the lawyer to draw up the paperwork, all the agreement and stuff, and then this party started. And I talked about this on the channel for it seemed like forever because I would always say, "Hey man, I'm doing this," and I know some people are like, "Hey, that's not going to happen." But in the end, I was able to close on the property because of this additional investing. Okay, now if something was to happen, what right in the U.S. um, or I was to lose my properties, lose everything in the U.S., I still have this property here, and I have another property in Cartagena. So I have two properties in Colombia that is paid for cash, along with properties that I have in the U.S. that is paid for cash. Now, the properties in the U.S., one I have for 20 years, the other one 10 years, um, and the one for 20 years already paid off cash, paid off, not cash, but it's already paid off. The one that I have now, which is my primary residence, um, I'm thinking probably next year or the next couple of years, once I purchase some land that I've been talking about also doing, when I purchase some land, the plan would be to sell that property and take their funds and invest it into that land, which I want to build either some fourplexes or uh, a smaller 16 apartment building, which would take more than just $300,000 or $400,000 in cash. But that initial cash, right? That means I can probably do a phase, right? Phase one, phase two, or whatever, and build out a part of what I'm trying to get to, right? And say, you know what, we'll build out phase one completely. I can take all my own money, build it, rent it out, then go back to the bank, get a loan on the rest of the project, right? And use that first phase as a collateral to build the other project. I mean, there's a bunch of ways to do it, but this is not the video for this. But I'm just telling you guys, when you people start investing, they only think about one thing. Okay, I'm a real estate investor. I only invest in real estate. Yes, I started as a real estate investor. I only invested in real estate until the market crashed and I lost everything. And I was always thinking about a way to come back and say, you know what? How do I go from losing it all, right? Pretty much just kept that one property that's paid off now to starting all over. And I did day trading. Growth stock was cool for a while until I realized, I'm like, you know what? I have to sell this stuff to have money to live. So what happened if I needed to sell during the time now when the market was down? Yeah, then people got planned for that to keep cash, higher yield savings account that generate income, right? 4%, right? And then so that way if they need to pull money out. If you have money investment that's generating 3 to 5%, if you have $100,000 in a 4% high yield investment account, I mean that's just as much good as having it in a stock that generates 3% yield, um, or that pay distributions, or it's a growth stock that grows 20% annually or 10% annually that you have to sell, right? But I prefer not to sell. So what do I do? So I stumbled onto dividend investing. I don't remember even how I did it. There's a guy, I can think of his name, Beaver, Stever, whatever his name is. But I stumbled onto one of his videos um, after I started dividend investing. And he would buy like a lot of, and he retired, I think, on 24,000, something like that, right? And I was like, you know what? When I started coming to Colombia and DR, I was like, I can live a really good life in Colombia or the Dominican Republic with just $24,000 a year, right? That's $2,000 a month, right? And after living in Colombia and DR off and on for the last 5 years, I know I can live with less, right? Just me, I know I can live with less. I don't know about other people. It all depends on your lifestyle, right? Lifestyle is a difference for everybody, right? I'm a homebody. I like to have fun with my friends. I don't drink alcohol. I don't smoke. Every now and then I might smoke a cigar, but I maybe once or twice a year. So I live a different lifestyle. Okay, I like to have fun, but I don't drink. Okay, I don't smoke cigarettes. I smoke cigar once or twice a year, if that. I don't think I've smoked a cigar this year yet. So, I'm still up for a cigar smoke. Right? But everybody got different things they want to accomplish in life. And for me, one of the things that scared me the most, more than anything else, was when I go to Walmart back then. Now, you better see those people. But when you go to Walmart, you see the old folks that would greet you. There's still some people, older folks there, or at the cashier working. I never wanted to be one of those people, right? And I always like, I need to find another way, right? My goal was to be a millionaire when I turned 35. I was almost there. The market crash. I lose everything. Okay, and I was like, you know what? Maybe I would never be a millionaire, but I will be successful, and I will have enough to live a decent life, right? To where I'm not depending on anybody. But dividend investing changed that for me. Okay, because as I was making that plan, right, just I'm like, you know what, my daughter is about to go to college. Hopefully she's gonna get some scholarships and stuff. Every time I talk to her, she's like, "Oh, Dad, don't worry about it. I got it. Me and mommy, me and mommy, me and mommy." Okay, and then the day came, and I had to take her to the university, right? Because a lot of things, transpired between mommy and my baby girl. Now, Daddy is now in the front seat doing everything that I was trying to do ahead of time so I can understand what the situation was. Now Daddy got to pay tuition. What? I got to do it? Okay. So I was like, all right. So, I mean, before that, right, I had a small amount of money, right? It was like maybe $3,000 or $4,000. I think it was about close to five that I had in the account for her that I opened when I started doing my investment stuff, you know, 5 years ago. So I would put money in there, but I only had that one account, right? Unlike my other kid, the other baby, I have two accounts. One the same funds I set up for her sister, and one is a Roth. So she have two accounts to where I can put money into. One is a retirement account, one is like a tuition account. Um, but okay, we got $5,000 tuition for the year is 20 something $1,000, right? If you're here for the first time, you're just hearing the story for the first time. But if you've been here before, you already heard this multiple times. Now I got to come up with $20,000 to pay tuition. I only got $4,000 or $5,000 in an account that I've been saving up for these few years, right? I was going to transfer over to her, and then this happened. I'm like, okay, do I pay the school 20 grand for 1 year? What do I get back in return? Because now I'm thinking about me. I'm like, okay, because this is going to be a continuous thing for the next 4 years, 5 years, whatever she's finished school. Because I don't know if her mom is going to help or not. Because this was all daddy, right? So I was like, you know what? The money that I'm going to take to pay tuition, I'm going to put that money into investments. Okay. So of course, putting that money into investments, 2%, 3%, 5%, that's not going to cut it. We need $20,000. I got five in that account saved for her. Now I got to take my money. That's my money I put aside for me to retire. Okay. For me to retire early at 55 and enjoy my best life. Now I got to take my $24,000 a year. I'm almost at my $24,000 a year. Now I got to take that money and put it to her tuition. Oh hell no! So I was like, you know what? I gotta find something. So I started looking, and that's when I started. I was like, okay, I already been investing in some Misty, Coney, Tesla, Alti, Nvidia, whatever. I was investing in some of those positions, not all of them, right? But I was investing in the RYLDs, QYLDs, some of those positions that pay a little bit, not 100% yield. And when it happened, I was like, you know what, we gotta find a way. So I started I threw that 5,000, 4,000, whatever it was, 4,000 something, and put it into what was that? Robinhood, right? And I was like, okay, this account gonna be her tuition account, and I put that money into like pretty much their high yield stuff. Okay, now I still have my other account, sitting there in China Swab, Fidelity, all those guys just sitting there doing whatever, right? And as her tuition account started to boom, I was like, okay. So the thing was, the school put us on a payment plan. And the first payment plan was due. I was like, no, we can't do the payment plan. We got to do the full amount. So the full amount to give you time to pay the full amount. At that time, it was like 20,000 for the year is like 10,000 for the semester, like close to 11 grand. So I said, you know what? I'll put it on the credit card. I put the 11,000 whatever dollars was on my credit card. We pay that. Boom, done. Okay, so now I got this 4,000 something within a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, by the month. By the end of the month, that 4,000 was already uh, over 5 grand, and it just started to grow. So I was like, okay, this is growing. I need to add some of this to my little money. Now, mind you, I'm making $2,000 a month in distributions, or close to $2,000 a month in distributions at this time, right? And I started to add this into my other stuff, right? I got my car fund. After I sold my BMW, I took that money and put it into my car fund to generate money to pay for my Tesla. And I got my daily living account, which is in my Fidelity account. Man, as I started to do that, that's how my thing, it just started to grow, right? And of course, it's a learning process coming from investing in set it and forget it funds to put in money into funds that you have to monitor and make sure you're doing the right thing or see how it's going to go. A lot of these funds are new funds. They only been around for a year or 6 months or 3 months or just coming out. So you're hoping, well, you put your money in, it's going to do right. Because there's no tracking. There's no way to go back and track and say, okay, this has been here for 20 years. This is the track record from this investment in the last 20 years. We can go back and see how it's done. No, it's none of that stuff, right? So it's like cross your finger and hope to die, right? But being the risk taker as I am, I'm like, I lost everything before. And I'm back at the stage now, which is different. I know I can make money. Okay? I know I can make money. I don't have to rush and do it. I can go and get a loan and invest, whatever, but I know how to do it to be successful. Okay. And that's what got us to this point today, right? If we go back, right? If we go back last, that was last week, and the week before that, last month, we generated $39,000. That was last month, right? Now that's just 1 month. Some people make that in a whole year. Of course, that's a lot of risk involved. Okay, and my portfolio is I don't have $1 million portfolio. People are like, oh, to make this kind of money, you have to have $1 million. No, you don't. I don't have $1 million portfolio. My portfolio is $500,000 or less. Okay, it goes around and 20 my portfolio. Okay, so my portfolio is not $1 million. And then if we go back down, come on, Joel. If we go back down, uh, let's see. Uh, so if we go back to the other month, we generated 50,000. Was it 50,000? No, it was 38,000. So if we go back to the other month, we generated 38,000. So it's 39, 38, 30. It's in that range, right? And like I said, I made a lot of changes to my portfolio uh, to bring down, the money that I have to pay back as far as margins is concerned, and having a buffer in my portfolio. Another 30 grand, right? 44,000. Okay. Um, and we did another 44 there. So, it's like making on average $5,000 a week to where I'm at now, right? 5,000 a week. So that's a chance we can generate at least $25,000 this month. And that's what all the changes I made to my portfolio. I sold a lot of things to bring down my buffer, to bring down my negative money in my portfolio. So you think is it possible to live off of 25, 30 grand a year? And especially if you don't have to live in the United States, that whole $15,000, that's the whole year. I mean, rent out here, you can get a nice apartment with air conditioning for like maybe $500 a month. That's a 3 bedroom, 2 bath, or 3 bedroom, 3 bath. If you go into places like Medellin, Cartagena, you may be spending $700 to $1,000 a month. Uh, you know, in costs. But if you're making $15,000 a month and you want to be like, you know what, you can tell the people, look, instead of me paying you $7,000, or I mean $600 a month, how about if I pay you $550? I mean, I'm a low ball. I pay you $500, but I pay you for the whole year up front. That's a negotiation tactic, right? And you can get a better rate. You might not get that 500. You might be like, no, nah, we can do six. Like, nah, I don't want to do six. 600 is the price. I want to do 500, 550, even 575. You're still saving $25 a month. I mean, $25 a month can go a long way out here in Colombia and in Dominican Republic, right? If you're going to live, not if you're just going to have fun, there's a difference. When you're traveling somewhere to live and enjoy your peace and quiet than just going on a vacation to have fun. It's completely different. And a lot of people don't understand that because they only travel, I call them the weekend warriors, right? Where they go for 3, 4 days, and then they come back and they got to go back to work. or to take one day off, leave the day to take off. I mean, the day before the takeoff, and then they go Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday back, right? Or to leave on Friday and come back on Tuesday because they got to go to work. I mean, I've done it before. But if you living out here, right, in the city I'm living now, in Villavicencio, right? I had a nice apartment, 3 bedroom, 2 bath, 24/7 security. I show you guys, I'm in the same place. I just bought a different unit, right? 24/7 security, 2 pools, gym, a little soccer field, basketball, um, clubhouse, everything, right? And the HOA dues like what, $75 a month, right? And I was renting out here, spending less than $300 a month at a time, because I lived in this place for 2 years before I moved out, and then I came back and purchased again. So I already knew the place, I knew the layout, I knew what I was getting, so it made it easy for me to buy. I didn't just come and say, "Oh, I see the place I like it, I'm gonna buy it." No, then what happens if you don't like it? You stuck with it, right? Or you have to rent it out to somebody else. And I don't really like renting. Some people do. I mean, it's easier because you can just park up and leave. I can pay up the lease and then leave and go somewhere else. But my daughter's Colombian, so of course I have to buy something, for her. Maybe she might want to live in the U.S. She might not want to live in Europe. She might want to come back to this city when she's all grown up and live. Well, we got property here. The property in Cartagena, I'm probably going to sell that at some point and use that money to invest back into the U.S. But I mean, guys, there's so much things you can do when you start to invest. You start to think outside the box, okay? Because if you're generating $15,000 a month and you want to live in off of $2,000 a month, guys, you have $13,000 sitting there that's just growing. That's $120,000+ that is growing, that is working for you every single month. So don't just think about it right now. Like, you know what? Like, okay, Edwin, so how do I start? You got your account? No, that's how you start. Create an account. Okay? Create an account, book a session, we have a conversation, understand your risk level, understand what you're willing to lose. Okay? And then we build a sample portfolio for you from there. And you can go on and monitor your portfolio. Now, if you want to have questions, we got the Discord. You can go in there and ask questions. It don't cost you anything. You can ask questions in the comments. It doesn't cost you anything. But if you want to have my time one-on-one, that's going to cost you. It's funny why I get people be like, "Yo, man, I want you to do this for me." I'm like, "Okay, it's going to cost you. You got to pay me. I got to pay you, yeah. What do you think, my time is free? No. This is free. I give back. This is how I give back to the community, right? I'm giving you my time here for free at no cost to you. You can ask all the questions you want here. You're going to get a response. Okay, once it's not disrespectful, you're going to get a response. Okay? So as we continue to grow, some people are like, "Man, this stuff is a scam." Okay. Did I ask you for money? Did I ask you to put money in my, what you call that thing? In my cash app? I can't even think of the stuff. I'll tell you how long I've been using it. Did I think to put money in my cash app? No. That's why, it's like, put them in my cash app. No, I didn't ask you for cash app. I didn't ask you for the PayPal. If you do, that you do at your own free will. Okay, but I'm not asking you to give me anything. What I do here, I do it to give back to the community. So people can look at it, learn from my mistakes. I make video every day. So it's not like he's like, "Oh, this guy, he makes video, he don't talk about his voices." If I sell stuff, I'll tell you, "Hey, I sold this, I bought this, and sell this." It's not for you to go buy it, but I also tell you the reason why I'm buying it, right? So it can help you understand. Some people learn differently. Okay, guys, but the truth of the matter is, yes, it is possible to live off this dividends. Okay, because you can. Oh man, time is priceless. You cannot. buy time. Okay, I give you a prime example. My back been hurting me for the past 3 days. So they're having some issues with the water system here. So the women get water like twice a day, um, for like 1 hour, right? So we just moved, of course. So we had to go buy some water tank systems and stuff like that to store water. I told my daughter-in-law, I'm like, okay, don't fill the stuff all the way up. We got this freaking, I don't know how many gallon bucket, right? 200, 100 gallon, 200 gallon bucket, barrel. And she filled the stupid thing up to the top. And I'm like, why the hell did you do that? And my dumb ass, instead of me dragging the thing, I went and picked it up. And I didn't feel nothing. I picked it up, moved the thing to the deck, to the patio, and it wasn't even 5 hours later. I went to pick up my daughter, and I felt this little in my back. I was like, oh no. I don't know, strained my back, lifting the water thing. So yesterday we go to the store to go buy a bag of rice. Uh, and she's picking up the rice, and everybody looking at me like, is he gonna pick up the rice? And I'm just there. She pick up the bag of rice and put it into the cart. And this is like 100 pound bag of rice, okay? Over 50 kilos. Right? How would that thing get kilos? But it's like 100 pounds. So it's like 50 something, 30 something, 40 something kilos, whatever it is, to get it to 100 pounds. But it's 100 pound bag of rice. She picked it up struggling and put it in the cart. And I felt real bad because I couldn't pick it up. Normally I would just pick up the thing and throw it in there because I work out, I exercise. Okay. But I felt bad because I couldn't do it. And I was telling her, don't worry about putting it in the car. She was like, no, because she's like scared now I'm gonna hurt my back. Which was already hurt me. I can barely walk. I'm walking like an old man. Oh guys, life is funny. So that's why I'm telling you, you can't buy time. I'm 52. Of course, even though I feel strong, I feel healthy, but I mean you can't control certain things. Okay? So we gotta take it easy, right? Gotta take it easy. Because if I don't, I'm gonna hurt myself more. So it's the same thing, sometimes like, okay, my portfolio is generating 40 grand. Like, okay, we push it, we're gonna go to 60 grand. Okay, but at what risk? At what risk, right? We push the portfolio to get to $60,000 a month. I don't really need $60,000 a month. Yes, getting to 60,000 a month, yeah, it's a good goal, right? It might take a year, 2 years to get to that goal, but I don't want my portfolio to be $300,000, $400,000 in the negative while I'm trying to generate $60,000, $70,000 a month. I don't want that. Okay, so the strategy is to fix the NAV erosion issues that I have now in my portfolio without losing money, right? There's some things I ain't lost. Yes, I can sell those things, put the money into something else that's going to generate the income to replenish the loss. That takes time. That might take 6 months to a year. But instead of doing that in a rush, like selling everything and then rebuy, there are a lot of people that was telling me back in the day, like, oh, you just have to sell and then rebuy at a lower rate. Yes, you still sell at a loss. You're still buying at a lower rate, but it's still not covering that loss. Okay. But some people don't understand certain things, and you just have to do what works for you. That's what I tell you guys all the time. This is my portfolio. I talk about my portfolio. At some point, I'll be having conversations with people, uh, one on one. Which now I have my office. I have more privacy. My daughter might understand when I'm in here. Close the door. Do not disturb. My baby girl, if she's making too much noise, to take her outside to play in the park. So I have my space. It's still work in progress space, generating, fixing the space like I wanted to. I need to get a new desk and stuff like that. But guys, this when I retired, to tell you when you gotta retire to something, right? I sit behind the desk all day. I'm a cybersecurity professional, so I sit behind the desk all day. Okay, so sitting down behind the desk is something that I've become accustomed to. In the beginning, it was hard, but just sitting behind the desk and troubleshooting and fixing issues, building things, building applications, configuring things. It's what I do, right? So if I can take that time and put it into somebody else's company that pay me $150,000 a month, a year rather, 100,000 a month, that'd be great. But I can take that time and put it into somebody else's company that pay me their money. Now, don't get me wrong, my career helped a lot because, like I told you guys before, for you new people, I work 3 jobs, okay, and I will invest 80% of that money into my portfolio, and also when I was working those 3 jobs, any money that I could put to my 401k and all that stuff, I would max it out. Okay, I would max them out between those jobs because I knew at some point I was going to leave those jobs, and I could transfer that money through my personal to my Roth. So I would max those money out, right? So after I get that 80%, whatever is deducted in taxes, I get that 80%. I would take 80% of that money, right? So if I'm making 150,000, 120,000, whatever it was, after taxes, whatever that difference is, that 80,000, whatever, I would take 80% of that, right? If you spread it out and invest it back into these portfolios that I have now, right? I would take that. I'll max out my 401k. I will max them out, right? I'll max out my Roth every year. And then you can put additional 20 some $1,000 a year into your 401k based on your salary. So I was doing all of that while working 2 or 3 jobs. So when I get burned out, I don't do that anymore. When I get burned out, I'll take a break. I'll take a 6 months break, right? And then I'm like, you know what? It's time for me to get a second job, do a consulting job, do a project. That's what I was doing. I did that for a good 3 years, right? A good 3 years. And that's how come I built that money, right? That's how come I would put that money in there. And the other 20%, I was having fun. I was having some mean time. I was having fun. I was traveling. I was buying the stuff that I like as far as clothes. I don't wear a lot of nice clothes. I like t-shirts. I'm not a suit guy. It's t-shirts. I love tennis shoes. And not even expensive tennis shoes. Not the $200, $300 shoes. I like even 55, $40, $50 shoes. Some nice jeans. Right? That's it. But I was traveling, having fun, enjoying the money I was making. Because guess what? All of those jobs had in common. They were all remote jobs. Okay? I think I had one job that I had to go to the office. I think it was like once a week. And that was not bad. I had to go once a week. And that was it. So if you want to live off dividends, if you want to live off distributions, you got to say, okay, what is your plan? Because when you stop working, the main thing you got to think about is your health care. That's the most expensive thing, health care. If you're in the United States, if you're outside the U.S., it's different. I went to get my glasses done. I got two. I kept my old frame. I got 2 glasses things done, right, with the examination. Uh, I believe it was like $50. So he was trying to give me more extra protection and the frame and the lenses. I was like, dude, this right here, I only wear them when I need to see good. I don't wear them every day. So I don't care about them scratching. Nobody messes with them except for me and Evie. I have to jacket from her. But that's it. So I spent $50 for my 2 glasses, one to hit to see far and one to see near, whatever. Okay. When I went to the dentist, I pay out of pocket, and they do the cleaning. Everything's $50. I mean, less than 50 bucks, like 100 some thousand pesos, sometimes $35. It just depends. Okay. For major work, it's even less. So, guys, if you live in the US, yes, there's places in America you can live for a decent amount. In Atlanta, two bedroom, two bath. I mean, looking at 2,005, 3,000, depending on what part of Atlanta you live in. Okay. So, as you decide how you're gonna live your life, if you have family, if the kids grown, they're in school, guys, we live for our kids, but the kids don't live for us, right? We do everything for our children. As soon as they can get out the house, they're gone. My daughter, the one in college now, I like, babe, why don't you stay here and go to school? I want to have my freedom. I'm not here. That's more reason for me not to come home if you are in this house. At least somebody's in this house. That's 40, $50 a year I'm spending. At least you're in the house. No, she want to go to school in Houston. Let me buy a property in Houston, and you can live there. After you finish school in 4 years, we can decide what we're going to do with the property after that. No, I want to rent an apartment. I mean, it's like, I don't get it. But you know what? Let's look at the numbers real quick. I've been talking for almost like forever. So this is my baby boy portfolio. Let me look at combined overall. This thing is still updating. I haven't opened this in a while. This amount is not actual. It's like more like 10,000 or less. So I've been working on the portfolio. Um, you know, but this is just the income. This is the average monthly income. Of course, this amount is going to change. We generated 8,000 this month. This ain't weekly. 10,000. We're not going to be there. We're going to be below half, probably half of this amount this month. But still, it's still a decent number, right? The yield, 111.36% yield. The yield on cost is 78%, which is not bad. Average hourly hourly, right? It's like $59.84. So that's every hour. So whether I'm working or not, whatever I'm doing, I'm not doing nothing. Me talking to you guys here for this hour, I'm making off my distributions, dividends, almost $60 an hour. Okay, on a daily basis, all day, I'm hanging with my family, doing whatever. I'm spending that 30 minutes a day looking at my portfolios, going all of my portfolios, making my plans for my other investments that I want to do, right? $1,400 a day. On a weekly basis, $10,000 a week. Okay? 10 grand a week. So, I mean, that's a big number with a portfolio that is not even $1 million. Okay? Now, you can see the market value, of course, is higher, right? But the actual what I have in the market value is right there. But the actual cost, how much money I have in the portfolio, is over $600,000, but it's down 29%. Okay, that's what I was talking about earlier. It's down. It was down more than that, but I made some adjustments to the portfolio, and stuff is changing. It's turning around. Okay, stuff is turning around. So as stuff turning around, it's good for me because I can bring down my negative cost basis, right? I can bring the negative cost basis down and bring down and increase the value of my portfolio. It's kind of like a business, right? But for me doing it for somebody else, I'm doing it for myself. Okay, I'm like the CEO, CFO, MSO, PPO, whatever the title you have out there for people that manage funds or manage businesses. I'm managing this for my entire family. This is my family legacy. Okay, so when we say, okay, when I say yes, we're trying to get this thing to $1 million. That's what we're trying to do. Okay, in the next year or two, when my value of my portfolio is over $1 million, that gives me more leeway as far as me getting money to purchase, not to purchase, but to build the properties that I want to build because I want to purchase the land myself, right? All this money that's coming in, I can say, okay, I'm gonna buy land, uh, on a contract, on an agreement, right? Maybe the land is 500 a month or whatever, but I can pay it off within 6 months to a year. I can pay it off to where the land is paid off. The land is completely paid off, and now I can go and develop that land to where I'm putting either properties on there like fourplexes, right? Different style, 1 bedroom, 2 bedrooms, maybe even 3 bedrooms, and building generational wealth, right? Keeping it in my family to where we can manage it. I don't have to hire somebody else from the outside, not yet anyway, except we get to the level what I need to. But things are there's so many different services out there now that I don't need to hire somebody. I can just use a third party service that I manage. And if they're not doing a good job, shoot, you just fire them and replace them with somebody else. Okay, guys. And you see this before. This is the estimated income from last month, the other month, and the other months. As you can see, the income, of course, they're dropping based on everything that's going on, the changes I made to the portfolio. Right now, we're looking at $23,000 estimated for this month. We're already at 15K. There's a possibility that we might be able to generate 23,000. We might be able to generate more. I don't know. We're gonna see what happens next week. Okay, we're gonna see what happens next week. But there is a strong possibility we're gonna be able to generate a ton of money next next week. Well, starting this week because the week starts on Sunday for me. Um, but that's where we are right now, guys. Okay, so as we go into the portfolio, right? This is the smallest. No, this is the smallest portfolio. This one, but this thing right here, $88 a month. Some people be like, "Well, what can I do with $88 a month?" This is your starting point. I would say work to pay your smallest bill off, right? Work to pay off your smallest bill because if you can pay off your smallest bill, then you are good to go, right? If you can pay off your smallest bill, that means you're starting somewhere. You gotta have a starting point. But don't just say, you know what, I don't know. I can't do it. Nah, I'm not gonna do it. It's not that. It's not that serious. God, that's your business. I know what I've done. I know how I've gotten to where I'm at. Right? It's because I didn't give up because I started somewhere. Right? And this position will generate $1,000 before I transfer it over to my big boy account. Okay? But we started over, and now we're already almost at $100 a month. I think if not the end of this month, probably not the end of this month. Before the end of the year, we should be at $100 a month. Okay, and this account is killing it already. Um, Look at this numbers. You see how the numbers going like this. I love this stuff here. Um, this account should be definitely over $100 before the end of the month, end of the year. Because I'm definitely trying to make some changes. This card count is going to be transferred into this account. Um, right now, the card count is generating different amounts. Right, last month we killed it last month. This month so far, we have generated over $400 some dollars uh, in this portfolio already, and it's almost enough to cover the car payment. So I just have to pull very little from the other from my Vivo account. Now, for $3,000 a month, okay, even if I pull 20, if I pull $10,000 to live off and reinvest the other amount and pay taxes and do all the other stuff, I would still be in good shape. Plus, I'm paying down my debts, I'm paying down my margins, and as I pay down my debt, guess what? My credit improves. My credit's improved as I pay down my debt, right? Um, I pay them my margins. I get more margins. That means at some point I can go back to the companies that give me the margin and say, you know what, I want to do this project, but I need you guys to give me a loan based on my portfolio so I can do this project. Elon Musk bought Twitter with stocks he owned, right, from Tesla. And he had to pay money out of his pocket, right? It just is how people do business, guys. But when we small people doing small business, we don't think about that, right? But this is where I want to be. This is where I want to get. Okay. So not only that we building generational wealth just through stocks, but through real estate also. And it don't have to be a lot. It don't have to be a lot. We're already there. We just got to improve on what we already have to get to the next level. Okay, guys. So if this doesn't motivate you, I don't, I don't know what else is gonna motivate you. Okay, if this doesn't motivate you, I don't know what's gonna motivate you. But this is what we got coming in. That's coming already to the portfolio. This is what just come in this past week, and estimated for next week, right? This thing saying we're gonna generate another 8 grand. Um, if we can generate that much, you know, another $8,000, that would be great. Um, but it's all work in progress, guys. Okay. So with that said, I hope this video um, help motivate you to get you to the next level, to get you where you need to be. Okay. And like I said, guys, when I started this stuff, my goal was just to get to $24,000 a month. I mean, 24,000 a year. Now I'm generating 24,000 a month within the span of a year when I added this crazy high yield stuff to my portfolio. Okay, I already reached my goal of that 24,000. I was almost there, like 23,000 and change. I was almost there. If you can go back and watch the previous video, you will see it. I was almost there. Okay, before I start investing into the extreme high yield stuff. And we made it to the next level. We made it to the next level, guys. Okay? So if I can do it without no experience, none of that stuff. I don't have no experience stuff. This is all, learning as I go. Okay? Watching videos, learning how to analyze positions. Um, and like I tell you guys all the time, if you can read this stuff, you fine, especially if a dividend investor, right? If you can read basic understanding of reading, you can be a dividend investor. Because you just have to read the information and understand what you're reading. And nowadays, you can always chat GPT stuff and get you the information you need if you don't understand what you're looking at. Okay, to bring it down into layman terms for you. So I hope this helped. You guys have an amazing Sunday. And we'll be back tomorrow to see how well the market is going to do, how much money we're going to make this week. By Wednesday, we're going to know. And then we'll take it from there. Okay, guys? Have an amazing, amazing Sunday. I'll talk to you guys later. Peace out.